this lightning lesson around framing questions that drive decisions with AI. My name is Hai. I'm here with my colleague Sean Butler and Shravya Medapalli. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how to ask really good questions so that you can leverage AI, you can leverage data to validate and or drive decisions that really matter for you. So a little bit of intro, and then we'll get right into the content. Again, my name is Hai. I'm the head of data at a legal tech company called Entra. I previously worked at LinkedIn, Pinterest, Nextdoor. That's where I met Sean and Shravya. Uh, Shravya or Sean, do you guys want to give a little bit of intro about you guys?
Go for it, Sravia.
Okay, I can go for it. I'm Shravya Madipalli. Hello, everyone. I'm originally from India, South India. I speak Telugu. I see Akhil asking this question. That's my native language. I've been here in the US for a long time. I did my master's here, and I worked at Microsoft. I worked at Nextdoor. That's where I met Sean and Hai. And we kicked off our Data Neighbor podcast from there. And now I lead growth data science at Grammarly, which is now called Superhuman. So, yeah, that's about me.
Hey everyone, I'm Sean. I'm a principal data scientist at the same company. Hi, works at Entra, legal tech company. Been in tech and data science for about a little over 10 years. And yeah, teach a course on AI evals. That's kind of my like primary focus area. And then I also teach this course with Hi and Strawberry around AI analytics for builders. So excited to meet you all here. Yeah, if you want to connect, I'm going to drop a link to our Slack actually in the chat as well. So we keep the conversation going after the chat here. And if, as we kind of like go through, feel free to drop your like LinkedIn in the chat as well. We'll get in touch with you.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so as Sean mentioned, and we'll get into a little bit later in the presentation, we run a couple courses. One is on helping, or I guess it's called AI analytics for builders, and the whole idea is sort of like if we zoom out from this lesson, we wanted to help people to become analytically independent, being able to ask really great questions, get really great insights with the help of AI and delegate the execution to AI instead of you having to run all the queries and an analysis. And then there's also an AI evals for product development that Sean runs. And then we also have really great free lightning lessons coming up, almost one a week for the next many weeks. So check them out on dataneighbor.com. Cool. All right, so let's see. So let's get into why we're here today. And by the way, we're probably going to run this for 45 minutes and then can stay over for questions. So if you have any questions you have, feel free to drop it in chat at any time. And Sean, feel free to interrupt if there's something that we should cover. All right, cool. So let's get into why we're all here today. So today, I think the premise is pretty simple. The idea is some people can extract gold from their questions while others get garbage. So probably I'm guessing people here have seen that. Some people ask really great questions that always seems to be consequential. Some people always get into the running around the circle kind of questions. So what exactly is the difference between these type of questions and how do we actually get better at it? So the idea is your question quality really determines your output quality. This is especially true in the age of AI because the more generic things that you ask of your LLMs or your chatbot, the less precise of an answer or probably an answer that does not align with what you're actually thinking about comes out. So we wanted to, given our collective experience in the tech industry of working with stakeholders to really ask questions, really ask thoughtful sort of like things. We wanted to just kind of like bring this lesson together to make sure like we understand what are the elements of those. And like one thing that we can sort of assume is that given the same set of data, um, uh, and we're going to run a little bit of a kind of like a poll here, two different questions. Which one do you think is a better question that actually would lead to better answers, better outcome? Drop in the chat. One or two. Come on, I'm expecting some ones. No ones. Oh, VJ wants one. VJ says one. Nice. Cool. I think we have almost consensus here. So two is certainly better. It's definitely longer, a lot more context. And in this lesson, we're just going to go over sort of like breaking it down into what makes it better for like versus number one. But I'm glad that almost everyone picks number two. All right, cool. So what you're going to get out of today. By the end of this session, you will know how to frame questions that drive decisions. So we're going to go through a simple 3-item question quality checklist. So that's a very simple framework to evaluate any analytical questions you may come across. Number two, we'll show you how to use AI as a coaching partner. So moving beyond just answering your questions, but using it to sort of like give you feedback to help you refine questions. And then number three is you'll take away the prompt that we actually would use here afterwards, and that'll be in your follow-up email so that you can whenever you want to ask, whenever you want to refine a question, feel free to sort of like play around with it. All right, cool. So question quality checklist. This is the most important sort of framework that we should all take away. So it's very simple. It's 3 steps. So almost like 3 elements that really make a question that is analytically sound, and that's answering it would actually give you something, give you a direction, or give you an answer that you can actually act on immediately. And those components are number one, decision tied. So when a question is asked, does this inform a decision? Like, what decision is it? So almost like think of it upfront. An anti-pattern to what this is, and we'll go through some examples and also evolutions of how to think about, like from something that is not to something that is in all 3 elements of this. You can imagine something like, hey, it would be interesting to know, and then, like some question is probably not a decision tied doesn't have the decision tied component of it because, like what are we going to do about it, or what are we going to do with that information? So that's what the number one check is. The number two is data grounded. So can I actually answer this with data? So sometimes there could be a lot of questions where, hey, it's just impossible to find the data, or the data is just does not exist. And so even if the question is well formed, it's impossible to answer. So, I hope this is also obvious. And then number three is the question specific enough? Meaning like it's bounded somehow. So it's not like a boil the ocean, look for everything under the sun kind of thing, but it's very narrowly targeted at something that would be sort of like, hey, if I can get to this answer, I'm good to go. And so we'll break down what that looks like in the next few slides with examples. All right, cool. I don't know how to animate, so that's why I would have done this with sort of like animations of 1, 2, 3 in sequence, but I don't know how to do that, so the answer is already here. But let's walk through it. So example progression of a question from vague to sharp. In this example is the very first version of this is why are users churning? And what's the I guess what's the is that a good question? Is that not a good question? I guess with chat it's a little bit hard, but it's not a good question because number one, the decision is unclear. So what are we going to do with this? Like, is this just interesting? Did an executive ask me why users are churning, or what am I trying to do here? So the decision is unclear. Justin, great, great response. Too vague. So like, like which users, what time frame? There's a lot of stuff that's missing here. Nothing is specific, nothing is grounded. So if we progress down to number two, refine this a little bit, we can ask, what's our churn rate by cohort? That's a valid question, right? The the question itself is getting a little better. The the sort of like the elements are still missing, some of them. So the data does exist, meaning like the measurement is much clearer. Like we're looking for churn rates by cohort. But what do we do with this information? Like, is this a good to know? Are we trying to figure out what to invest in, or are we just trying to be like, I don't know, like insights of the month and good to, like something to impress others. So like the sort of like the decision is what's really missing here. And then number three, like another refinement, another attempt at refining it could be which user behaviors in the 30 days in the first 30 days correlate with churn so we can trigger interventions before they leave. Now, it's a very long question, but it does hit all the components where the decision is clear, like we're actually trying to intervene. Like something triggers us to think that churn is something that we should be investigating and that we should want to actually take action to intervene, but we need a direction for how to intervene. And so, like decision is clear, the data we have, again, like how to measure churn, first 30 days, that kind of stuff. And then it's very specific. It's like, hey, this cohort is what I'm looking for. And first 30 days is what I'm trying to correlate that against. Do you guys see kind of like the evolution here from super vague to something much more refined? And you can imagine like answer number three is a lot less work, but also a lot more targeted than number one, right? Cool. All right.
I like
So
the comment in the chat too around like what does churn even mean? Like churn can mean I've been in conversations where there's two execs talking about churn and one's like, did the customer leave? And then the other one's like, does the customer not use the product in the past quarter, or are they using the product and not using paid features? Like churn also in itself is nondescript.
that's a really good point. So, if your organization or if you already have sort of like something well defined, then that's certainly much better. And you guys are in a much better place than if the company doesn't even know what churn even mean or haven't agreed to it. So yeah, that's a great point. The previous example assumes churn is universally aligned in your company, but if not, we have a lesson next week to actually chat about how to make that happen. All right, cool. So let's move on. All right, cool. Example two, progression two, from left to right. So first iteration of a question, how are users behaving? Is that a good question? Did that give away? All right, I see some. Oh, well, no, I see not, sorry. I see head shaking, so that's good. Cool. So yeah, way too vague, right? Not a great question. Terrible. What does behaving even mean? How do you even measure it? What time frame? What are we trying to do? That kind of stuff, right? Number two, this is probably better, right? What features do power users use most? Like at least the behavior part is a little bit more guided now. Like what features are they using? So that's like that's better than how are they behaving in what way? So this is at least within the confine of a product. What are people actually doing there? And specifically for power users, again, the decision here is missing. Like what are we doing with this information so that like there's many flavors of answering this question or crafting an answer to it. But if the decision is unclear, the answer is also extremely open-ended, and also the process of executing that for that answer is going to be not a fun thing to do. All right, the final iteration of this guy. Which three features correlate with 30-day retention above 50% for users acquired in the last quarter? And should we surface them in onboarding? You guys see, like, I mean, again, like more words, much more verbose. I'm not advocating for more words or more verbose, but I'm advocating for more targeted way of framing your question. And it doesn't have to be spelled out specifically, but you should always keep in mind that these are the elements, even if I don't say it out loud, that's where I'm going with it to get the best sort of like outputs, either from a data team if you work with them, or from AI, like just like everybody has access to. So, like I hope this is clear. Number three is way better. Three features, very much like decision. The decision is laid out here. What you're going to do with it. The data is, again, like we can debate how retention is defined. Assuming it's already defined, then like the data hopefully is already there, and very specific, and also with a threshold that we know defines what good looks like. So, the again, like the more that we can get closer to number three or to the right, the better I can guarantee you your answers is going to be, and the less back and forth you're going to have to work with, whether it be AI or humans to get that answer. Cool. Let us move on. All right. Example three. I put this in last minute, so let's see. Let's see how this goes. Cool. So assume we have a marketing performance question around return on investment. So left to right again. How's our marketing performing? If you've worked with marketing teams, you've probably got something very similar in the past. I see Justin nodding vehemently, so I'm guessing you work with marketing quite a bit. Uh, yeah, so very, like very classic question that's like, hey, how's our X performing? That's sort of like a lot of the questions that either the high ups or yourself or your stakeholders would ask, because that's the easiest to answer. It doesn't require any brain power, doesn't require any thinking. You just blurt it out and like let the data guide you, right? Like that's sort of like the thing that most people like to do. But again, if we run it through the checklist or the framework, decision is unclear, performance against what? What would you change if you know this information? Like always be asking yourself that. All right, moving on to the middle, which this is another refined question from the very beginning. So which channels have the best ROI? Now this is getting better, getting much better actually. But again, decision unclear. That's compared to what threshold, and what do you do with this list? Again, the thing that's missing in a lot of questions that we've come across in our experience has always been, what decision are you trying to drive? And so the more that you can think ahead of time why you're asking this and what are you going to do with the information, the better the outcome or the output you're going to get to actually get at the real question behind the question that you're actually looking to ask. All right, and the third refined final state is, which channels exceeded our 1.5x return on ad spend target last quarter, and should we shift budget from underperformers to scale them? So return on ad spend is just every dollar that I put in advertisement, how many dollars do I get back? So like I get back $1.50 every dollar that I put in. So this question gets to understanding sort of like, hey, should we be allocating, rebalancing our budgets for marketing purposes? You guys see how this evolution makes things much more clear, and doing this exercise grounds you into sort of like a decision forcing answer at the end of the day. Like you cannot not get a answer that doesn't drive decisions if you think of the decision up front. Cool. All right. Let's get to a common pushback. Uh, I'm guessing some of you might have encountered this. I certainly have many, many times. In fact, I encountered it last week. So, what about if I'm just exploring? Or what about just letting the data guide us? Or I'm just looking at the data. Nothing truly, I'm not deciding on anything, but I'm just looking. I'm just curious. Like that seems like a pretty common thing, right? Like why can't I just be exploring? Um, the rebuttal to that, why that is ineffective, is that even exploration needs a direction. In very few circumstances would you be like, I'm okay with the entire map canvas being the sort of like all possibilities of exploration. Like that's just not effective, right? Like if you're setting sail to some destination and you're like, I don't know where it is, I have no hypothesis, I'm just gonna go, like whichever way. That's probably not the way that you would spend your resources and stuff. So reframing the word exploration as a decision is actually itself getting you a lot closer to an effective sort of like effective question in itself. So some examples that I listed here, instead of saying I'm just exploring user behavior or I'm exploring X, instead you can just reframe that into what patterns would change our next sprint priorities. Like you're trying to look for something that does something for you. So say that something out loud or that latter something. God, I'm already mixing a bunch of somethings, but like you get what I'm saying. You see how like one is extremely vague, the other one is forcing some guardrails on, or I guess at least forcing some direction to the very vague thing. And answering that itself forces you into looking at the right things. The second one is I'm just looking at the data. Common pushback again. Another way to reframe it is what would I need to see to recommend we invest in X, or what do I need to see to do Y? And like that sort of framing gets you to be sort of like refining your questions to be like, hey, I'm actually interested in this direction, or I'm actually looking at wanted to see this and that. And then the final one that's listed out here, I don't have a decision yet, so I'm just looking. Uh, the rebuttal to that is what's worth investigating further is your decision, and do not overlook that. Like, if you have some hunch of like, I don't have a decision yet, but I'm interested in this area, interested in that area itself is a decision because you have some sort of knowledge, subconsciously, consciously, that there might be a smoking gun in this area that I really wanted to dive in. So list that out, and that becomes sort of your decision. So undirected exploration is like a fishing expedition. You're just trying to see where the fishes are. But directed exploration is discovery with purpose. So that's the way to really think about it. So next time, if you're like, hey, I'm just exploring, reframe it. If you hear your stakeholders or your people that you work with telling you to, like, hey, go dig up this data, I'm really curious. Force them to like, hey, let's rework that a little bit up front so that we can get a lot better answers down the line. Cool. All right. So let's see. Oh, okay, cool. Yes. We brought up this, or previously, one of you brought up this point that how to even define a metric? Like, what does churn mean? Like how do we get to a place where we can actually ask some of these questions? Or if the actual measurement is not clear, then how do we even ask the questions? Next week around this time, or I guess next week, Wednesday, exactly a week from now, I'm also running another lightning lesson around the title for it is Design Metrics That Don't Lie. It's certainly a clickbaity one, but the idea is what it says. It's how do you actually come up with metrics that drive decisions? So not the question, because we covered today, but the actual measurements. How do you actually come up with non-vanity metrics that actually gets you to measuring the stuff that really matter? We see this struggle a lot in many companies, and it's not a straightforward one. And so we'll provide very similarly, like some framework and some not quite checklist, but like ways of thinking about it, so that we can all so that you can all like take away and go through them in like as you embark on any exercises like that. So you can feel free to scan this QR code that gets to the registration page, or go to bit.ly/metrics design. Sign up there, and you'll get the recording even if you can't attend. But we'll follow up with links to these as well. Oh, and Sean put the links. QR doesn't work. Sorry, Bob. My QR code skill apparently is not great, but we'll follow up. Cool. All right. Let's see. I think we can skip this practice moment. Yeah, originally I was gonna have everyone do a practice, but let me skip this. Okay, so key insights, humans or AI will execute whatever questions you give it. The checklist that we just went through ensures that you're asking the right questions. So you've probably heard of some variations of this. Quality input leads to quality output. In other words, garbage in, garbage out. So spend time up front to make sure whatever the input is not garbage. Then you can basically ensure that whatever output it is also not garbage. All right, cool. So let's see. So yeah, so we'll get into this segment of how to actually use AI as your coaching partner to sort of like go through the things that we went through. Um, so I'll do like a quick demo here. Um, but assume the question is like either you asked, or you've gotten this question, or you've heard of someone brought up a very similar question. Hey, can you look into our support tickets? They've spiked recently and the support team is overwhelmed. Not sure what's driving it. So, well, I guess drop in chat yes or no. Is this a good question? Feel free to say yes, it's cool. I think it could be a good question. Victoria says no. Aditi says yes. Sean says I hate support tickets. Okay. No, Natalia. Cool. Okay. Well, we'll ask AI if this is a good question or not. So let's see. All right. So I'm going to switch window. So this is a prompt that you're all are going to get. And I'm just going to go through it live with you all. So this is ChatGPT. Hopefully everyone has used it in the past and know what it is. So let me see. You guys can see my screen, right? This ChatGPT canvas. Cool. All right. So I'm just going to copy and paste my question in. And don't worry, you don't need to read the whole thing here. And I'm going to give it a question. All right, so this is a question quality coach, blah, blah, blah. What question do I want to give it? So I am copy and pasting the exact same thing here. All right. Cool. So I pasted in the exact question that was on the slide, and then this is what it's telling me. So thanks for a raw question. This is exactly a kind of starting point that benefits from sharpening. So basically, this is not a good question. So let's work on it in a very polite way. So um, you will see that it's going to walk through kind of like one by one on sort of like the things that we talked about in the checklist. So what decision would you make differently? What would you do if you know this information? And I saw Patrick says we want to focus on fixing them. Fix stuff. Let's call it. Well, I guess fix stuff is not great either. Okay, so bug fixes. Bug fixes for high priority stuff. right? Getting sharper, so I'm getting the validation from AI. And then the next one is data grounded. Actually, what data do I have to be able to do to look at that? So I'm going to say ticket volume by day, right? And then so now I get two checklists. And is it specific enough? So how would you know when you're fully answered this? And it's giving me some examples. So I can say, like normally, I know anything above 10% week over week spike means bad news. So let's use that as a threshold. So what I did there. Cool. So now I passed all the checklists and things like that, and it helps me refine them into like a question that we saw previously. So it gave me some examples of it, and then these are certainly much better ones that we can ask. So this is almost like a kind of like an async coach that you ask AI to help. It could either be a question that you already have, or it could be I have this vague idea. I wanted to formulate it into a good question, kind of use. So either way works. And so we're gonna switch back to here. So this was the prompt, and so I'll be giving everybody this guy. Okay, cool. So this is what we did. We did a demo walkthrough of a conversation with an AI coach. So exactly what we saw. If you found an answer, what would you do? What data do you have access to, and how will you know when you're done? So all the three elements that we talked about. Cool. And then the refined questions, these were some of the candidates, not quite exactly from the outputs of ChatGPT, but like the flavor is the same. So for example, like which ticket categories drove the biggest increase in volume past 2 weeks? Should we prioritize a bug fix? Blah blah. Or are certain user segments driving disproportionate ticket volume, and should we prioritize fixes for those segments? Both of these are really, really great questions, extremely targeted, and we know exactly what we're going to do when we get the answer to it. So that's where we want to get you all to. All right, cool. So I could have very well given everybody here just like did this question pass this, or like just give the answer directly of like every time when you feed it something, it'll give you the answer. But like our philosophy is that coaching is better than grading. So if you notice what just happened, you didn't just get a yes, no, this is good, this is bad, but you had a conversation with that AI thing through kind of like this prompt, and it helped you discover the gaps in your thinking. And by the end, you understand why a question was weak, not just that it is weak, because let's be honest, it's like especially in the world of AI where getting an answer is so easy, the process of the fundamentals, like acquiring the fundamentals, knowing how to actually do it yourself first before delegating is extremely important. And we really want to help everybody to sort of like develop that muscle. And so the checklist is a skill. The prompt helps you internalize it faster. That's all the philosophy that we have with this. All right, cool. Wow, that was a very quick, almost 40 minutes. Check your email after this session around a PDF guide on question quality. It will have the coaching prompt that we just went through, and then we'll also send over this deck for your reference. Or if you missed any of the slides or want to refer them in the future, definitely feel free to leverage them, and you'll get them in your inbox today. Cool. And we also have a free AI Builders community. This is a Slack channel that we recently stood up to just kind of gather people who are interested in the whole like AI building community. regardless of what your sort of like what your focus is. So we have members, this is all free. We have folks from all over the world who are PMs, who are engineers, who's trying to build with AI, who is trying to learn more about AI. And so definitely join us. We'll share a lot of free resources, and we would love to have you join us. So the link to that is bit.ly/AI Connect. Cool. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, we also run this course on Maven that is called AI Analytics for Builders. The idea that Sean, Shravya, and myself feel extremely passionate about is to help people become analytically independent, meaning you ask really great questions, you have a very analytical mindset. We teach you all the framework that we've learned over the years in our own profession in order to be able to sort of like kind of like ask great questions, make really informed decisions with data, but you can delegate the execution of getting those answers, of getting to like quality results through the use of AI instead of like learning all the technical skills and stuff like that. So the thing that we sort of like put an analogy on is in today's world, you've probably heard of vibe coding, right? Like anyone can vibe code stuff, even if you're not a software engineer, to build applications or write software code. You can use AI to help you become a product manager through, uh, doing, like the product requirement documents and things like that. Or you can use AI to help you be a designer, even if you have no idea how to design stuff. What we're seeing missing in the market is really around the data piece. Like, how do you become analytically sufficient, self-sufficient, such that you don't need to rely on a data analyst or a data scientist, or if you're a data professional, you can be better at being more effective in how you do sort of like data work and offload a lot of that to AI so you can focus on the most important things. So we run a 5-week course that starts in April. It's going to have comprehensive training around all the things that we learn around analytic workflows and mindsets and how to think about it, and then we also teach how to do those execution with AI. It will have a capstone project by the end of the course. We're running a limited time discount to everyone who's joining this lightning lesson, 25% off, valid through February 14th. Promo code AI Builder LL at checkout. If you scan the thing here, and I forgot to put in the link, but we'll have all of that information uh, in the follow-up email.
One thing I'd like to add is we collectively, Sean and I have a 40 years of experience. Like if you look through multiple companies, this is our first attempt to try to get all the knowledge that we gathered over the years into a single course. So we are basically trying to get everything to you guys in a way of like with AI now, like try to use our experience and how do we get to use AI and get to these. So yeah, just wanted to iterate on that.
Yep. AI is not quite replacing us quite yet, and we know where and how where it's going through the podcast that we do on the side as well. So certainly we'll share a lot of those to you all. So final thought, and we'll get into Q&A, is the question isn't whether you use AI for analysis or AI for anything, really. Everyone is going to. The question is, are you going to be the person asking the right questions or the person generating garbage? Don't be the latter because it's very easy to fall into that. Like just as a mantra in the AI world, we wanted to emphasize this. Cool. Okay, that's the end of my prepared programming. So I'm gonna go back to here and just leave it up. And if you have any if you have any questions, floor is yours, and I'll stay on for however long folks want to hang out.
Yeah, I think Sean and I can also answer any questions. So one thing I'll probably like to add is that through all this experience in data and data science, what I've observed is critical thinking and curiosity and going in the right direction is literally what like leads to impact. It saves you a ton of time. Imagine I can see myself like, 10 years ago when I started off, I went in directions that were took me a long time but leaded to me in places that didn't lead to any impact. But today, if the same question comes to me, how do I handle it is like so much so different and so much better, and that is purely the experience teaching me which angle do I pursue, how do I get my curiosity to tackle me, and what questions to ask, the question that you get and things like that. So that's the reason I think today's session by Hyde really resonates, and it's something that we literally use it in our day-to-day jobs as well.
And we're running this as a first cohort, so we're new to sort of like teaching in this way. So you can, if you decide to join us, you're going to be helping us shape where this goes.
Has anyone spent a bunch of time on an analysis or something? Because like, I don't know, a question was phrased in a way that they interpret it. I feel like early in my career, I've spent like probably months sometimes on analysis or building a dashboard or something or some readout because VP of product had some question that came to me in a Slack or in the hallway. And then it was like months later, like, oh, I actually didn't really care about that. I was like telling everyone else, like, oh, I'm doing this thing for the VP of so and so. Whenever anyone else has experienced that, I just find like asking good questions is also just extremely important for your career. Like it could be like a career maker if you can tie, if you can get your workflow and your mindset where like as much of your work turns into something happening at the company, a decision, an action, something changing because you were there, like because you were basically the key. A lot of that just comes from making sure the question is framed from the very beginning.
VJ's asking, can you show me examples of weak versus strong AI questions for my use case and help me rewrite mine? Yeah, I mean, we'll send you the prompt, and certainly you can iterate with it, and it will tell you why. Some questions are better than others.
Yeah, we can talk about that in that Slack community too, VJ. If we want to go a little deeper. I know we don't have like a whole bunch of time here, but definitely down to talk through your use case.
I mean, to add, Vijay, basically, the more context you gather from the people who's asking the question, the more context you give to AI, the better the direction of, you solving it comes from. And exactly the framework that I shared as well is going to like literally help you in like getting there faster.
I think to your point as well, having patient, thoughtful feedback is it's important, but it's difficult sometimes. In that, I've definitely had an example where I was asked by a higher up to do some analysis that they thought was important. That it was important to them. They wanted this dashboard, this kind of metric, and then we spent some time taking it from Excel prototype to a Tableau dashboard. But actually, with the frontline leadership below the executive, um, it wasn't really meaningful. Didn't have the right information context included to really make sense of some of the higher level summaries. And so, could have saved a lot of time getting that beforehand before the effort to put up a high level summary that wasn't actually useful.
Yeah, that's a great point. One secret trick that's I guess not so secret because we talked about it quite a bit is uh, like if you're the one that asks questions, always ask yourself what decision I'm trying to make with this information. And if you're the one that's being passed the question to go solve, ask the person that gave you that question, what decision are you trying to drive with this question? I can tell you, at least in my experience, probably 60% of the time, they would be like, actually, that's not a really good question. So let me just, it's cool. You don't need to work on it. And so, like just asking one follow-up question could potentially save 60% of the time. So that's a very high ROI thing to do.
If this is a predictive model that you're trying to look for the time saved, I think the first feature that you'd get is, did you ask that second question? Or did you just take up and just go work on it, I would say as a new manager, when I was starting out as a leader, the first thing was like, oh my God, this CPO asked this thing. Let's just, get my team to work on it, right? Versus irrespective of who the person is, hey, why are you asking this? Because you could get it from here already, and would just, trying to be curious. And then they're like, oh, you're right. And then stop, like the entire uh, whirlpool that starts when a C-suite person asks it just gets died down right after.
Yeah, totally. I see a question from Sean. Hey, how's it going, Sean? Long time no see.
Hey, Sean. Nice.
That's cool. The question is, are there differences in structure and types of questions you would ask to a human versus AI? I mean, structurally, no. Uh, I guess practically, yes, because humans have emotions and you need to meet them where they're at. I would say AI is certainly a lot more, well, I mean, this is recorded like in the future state where AI understands everything. Like you can sort of like, you can stretch it to its limits, right? And it's not going to be like, hey, I'm hurt by whatever you're asking me. So human has the emotional aspect, so you need to meet them where they're at. You need to make sure sort of like you take empathy and all that kind of stuff in mind. I think AI is much more free flowing, and the sort of like common denominator of both is the more, to Shavia's point, the more context you can kind of build them up, whether human or AI, the better that they're going to be at in kind of like giving you the answer. And then, the context could come from the questions themselves as well. That's why that's almost like sort of like the P0 there.
To double click on what Hai shared about to humans, you should meet them where they're at. It's actually the most important thing, and it's actually a well developed skill as well, knowing where the person's coming from. In fact, you could, the way you converse with them and the way you understand the question and talk with them might just make your relationship with that person in a way that you're not like against them asking the question or against working on something. You want to definitely tell that, or show that attitude when you ask a question back, because that would help them basically before another question comes. They know how to use the self-serve tools that are already available, right? And it's not that data doesn't want to support, but it's more that we are here to support, but your question could be something that's already, being able can be answered with existing stuff, or might not be even important enough. And the other question behind the question is more important.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you have to like you said, like explain. It depends on the persona you're working with. Sometimes you have to explain why you're asking a question because some people can be taken aback when you question their question. It's like, I'm not trying to question you, dude. Like, I actually want to really help you. And so if you can work through this with me, then like we'll make sure that whatever you need gets done and you look really good and everyone wins. So like I was trying to like reframe that way. You don't have to do it with AI. I mean, maybe we should be doing that with AI. I don't know.
Cool. Um, cool. And we don't have to hang out here all day. We'll send out the deck. We'll send out all their information. probably send out the recording tomorrow as well, so that you can always watch back, or like if there's any segment that you have more questions about, feel free to reach us on in this Slack community. We're very responsive, and we hope to be able to sort of like connect every like-minded person in today's world, so that we can we can share information, share knowledge, and help everyone succeed.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank you,
much, everyone.
everybody. Thanks for joining. See you all next week. Design metrics, if you want to join us.
Yeah.
See you.